We often think that in order to succeed, we need to accumulate more knowledge, more connections, more things. But the truth is, sometimes we need to let go. We need to tear down the parts of ourselves that no longer serve us to build something greater. And that process, while painful, is also liberating. It's not about becoming someone else, but about becoming the person you were always meant to be. We hold on to things, old beliefs, fears, doubts, and even past versions of ourselves because they're familiar. But what if I told you that the only way to reach your highest potential is to release what's holding you back? It's time to let go of what's comfortable, what's safe, and step into the unknown with faith. It's not an easy journey, but it's necessary. Every time you face that fear, you're chiseling away at what's preventing you from reaching your true greatness. And when the walls come down, you'll see, standing in the ruins of your former self, the foundation for a stronger, wiser, more powerful you. Now, this isn't about perfection. It's about growth, progress, and becoming aligned with who you truly are. We've all been through challenges, heartbreak, disappointments. And those experiences, as tough as they are opportunities. They're the universe's way of saying it's time to evolve. You will have moments where you want to give up. But every breakdown is setting you up for a breakthrough. Every time you think you're falling apart, know that you're actually coming together in a new, powerful way. You have to destroy the idea of who you think you should be in order to become who you are destined to be. It's a process. And the most important part is trusting yourself, trusting that what is on the other side is worth it. Because you, my friend, are worth it. So embrace the breakdown, embrace the unknown, and embrace the discomfort. Because in let go of the past for growth, we all carry beliefs with us, beliefs about who we are, what we're capable of, and what the world is like. These beliefs are often shaped by our past experiences, by what we've been told, and by what we've seen. And while some of these beliefs might have served us once, many of them no longer serve us now. They limit us, keep us small, and stop us from stepping into the fullness of our power. Think about the things you tell yourself every day. I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this, I can't do that. These are the whispers of old fears and doubts, voices from your past trying to keep you in a place of safety. But the truth is, these beliefs are just stories, and if you hold on to them, they will shape your reality. The longer you cling to them, the more they'll become the walls of your life, trapping you in a version of yourself that you've outgrown. Releasing old beliefs is like shedding layers of armor that you no longer need. Yes, it's scary, because that armor has protected you for so long. But it's also heavy, and it's keeping you from moving forward. You can't climb higher with all that weight. So you have to make a choice. Do you want to stay where you are, safe but limited, or are you willing to let go and rise? It's in the act of letting go that you find freedom. When you release those old stories, you begin to see what's possible. You realize that the only limits that exist are the ones you've accepted. And when you reject those limits, the world opens up in ways you never imagined. You stop seeing fear as a barrier, and instead you see it as a doorway, one that you have the courage to walk through. Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to control you. When you release the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown, you make space for something greater. You make space for possibility, for creativity, for the power that's been lying dormant inside you, waiting for the moment you decide to step out of the shadows. So I ask you, what belief are you holding on to right now that is keeping you from being your true self? What fear is stopping you from taking that leap? Because the moment you let go of those chains, you step into a new reality, one where you are no longer held back by the past, but propelled forward by the infinite potential of the present. Releasing old beliefs is not about forgetting where you've come from. It's about no longer allowing where you've been to dictate where you're going. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are a work in progress, constantly evolving, constantly growing, and capable of more than you ever thought possible. All you have to do is let go. Discomfort is something we all try to avoid. It's human nature to seek safety, to want to stay in places where we feel secure, where nothing challenges us, nothing pushes us out of our comfort zone. But here's the truth: real growth, real transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you step into the unknown, when you face the things that make you uneasy, when you walk right into the heart of what scares you. Discomfort is not the enemy. It's the doorway to everything you want, to everything you're meant to be. When you feel that tension, that unease, that resistance, it's a sign that you're on the edge of something bigger. You're about to step into a version of yourself that's more powerful, more authentic, and more aligned with your purpose. But first, you have to be willing to face that discomfort head on. We often think that avoiding discomfort will protect us, but what it really does is keep us small. It keeps us stuck in the same patterns, the same routines, the same version of ourselves that we've always known. And while that might feel safe, it also feels stagnant. You can't grow in the same place that made you feel limited. You have to push yourself into new territories, into situations that stretch you, that challenge your assumptions about who you are and what you're capable of. Think about the times in your life when you've truly grown. It wasn't when everything was easy. It wasn't when you were coasting along. It was when you were struggling, when you were uncomfortable, when you were pushed to your limits. That's when you found out what you were made of. That's when you discovered strengths you didn't know you had. That's when you realized that discomfort was the catalyst for your evolution. Discomfort is the universe's way of inviting you to level up. It's saying you're ready for more, but first you have to prove it to yourself, and proving it to yourself means sitting with that discomfort, feeling the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt, and choosing to move forward anyway. It's in those moments when you're unsure, when you're uncomfortable, that you uncover the depth of your courage, your resilience, and your strength. We all have a tendency to avoid the hard things, to shy away from the difficult conversations, the tough decisions, the risks that make us feel vulnerable. But when you avoid those things, you're not protecting yourself, you're holding yourself back from the person you're meant to become. Facing discomfort is how you break free from the limitations that have been placed on you, whether by yourself or by the world around you. It's how you discover what you're truly capable of. When you step into discomfort, you're stepping into the unknown, yes, but you're also stepping into possibility. You're giving yourself the chance to see yourself in a new light, to find out what you're really made of. And I'll tell you something, you are stronger, braver, and more capable than you think. But you'll never know that if you don't take that step, if you don't lean into the discomfort and let it show you who you really are. So the next time you feel that discomfort creeping in, don't run from it. Lean into it. Let it be your guide. Because on the other side of that discomfort is a version of you that's more powerful, more aligned, more alive than you've ever been. Discomfort isn't something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. It's the path to your highest self, and it's where you'll find the greatest discoveries about who you really are. Challenges, they're a part of life. No one is immune to them. We all face moments that test us, that push us to our limits, that make us question everything. But here's something we often forget: challenges are not here to break us, they're here to build us. Every obstacle, every setback, every hardship is an opportunity wrapped in difficulty. It's an invitation to rise, to grow, and to become something greater. Most of us, when we face a challenge, have an instinct to resist it, to ask, why is this happening to me? But what if you flip the question and ask, what is this trying to teach me? When you see challenges as something working for you, instead of against you, everything changes. You start to realize that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. It's giving you the tools, the lessons, and the strength you need to step into the person you're meant to be. Think about the hardest times in your life, the moments that stretched you to your breaking point. You might not have seen it then, but when you look back, you can see how those challenges shaped you. They forced you to dig deeper, to find strength you didn't know you had, to become more resilient, more determined, more compassionate. Challenges don't just test you, they transform you. They're the fires that forge you into something stronger. And here's the thing, the size of the challenge often matches the size of the opportunity. The bigger the mountain, the more breathtaking the view from the top. When you face something that seems insurmountable, that's when you have the chance to discover how powerful you really are. That's when you're given the opportunity to tap into reserves of courage, perseverance, and creativity that you never would have accessed if everything was easy. Life is always going to present challenges. That's not something you can control. But what you can control is how you respond. You can choose to see the challenge as a roadblock, or you can choose to see it as a stepping stone. You can let it stop you, or you can let it elevate you. When you shift your mindset from why me to what can I learn from this, you step into a place of power. Suddenly, the challenge isn't something to fear, but something to embrace. And when you embrace challenges, you also embrace growth. You realize that every time you're pushed out of your comfort zone, you're being invited to evolve. You're being given a chance to break through old limits, to rise above old patterns, and to become someone new. Challenges give you the opportunity to reinvent yourself, to step into a new version of who you are. But that transformation only happens if you're willing to see the opportunity hidden within the difficulty. It's not always easy. There will be moments when you want to give up, when the weight of the challenge feels too heavy, when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But those are the moments when you need to trust the process. Trust that the challenge is shaping you in ways you can't yet understand. Trust that the discomfort is temporary, but the growth is permanent. Trust that on the other side of the challenge is a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of you. So when life throws a challenge your way, don't shrink from it. Step up to it. Face it with the knowledge that you're not being tested for nothing, you're being prepared for something greater. The challenge is the universe's way of telling you, you're ready for more. And when you embrace that mindset, challenges stop being obstacles and start becoming opportunities. Opportunities to rise. Opportunities to learn. Opportunities to become the highest version of yourself. There are moments in life when everything falls apart. Times when you feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on you, and no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to go right. It feels like you're stuck in a storm, and every step you take brings you deeper into the chaos. In those moments, it's easy to feel lost, to feel like you're breaking down. But what if I told you that these breakdowns are not the end? They are the beginning of something new, something powerful. You see, breakdowns are not signs of failure. They are signals that something within you is shifting, that you're on the verge of a transformation. It's like a seed underground, buried in the dark. At first, it looks like everything is falling apart, but really something is breaking open. Growth is happening. A breakthrough is coming. When you're in the middle of a breakdown, it's hard to see that. All you feel is the pain, the confusion, the frustration. You're questioning why everything seems to be going wrong. But what if that breakdown is exactly what you need? What if the pieces that are falling apart are clearing the way for something better, something stronger to emerge? Breakdowns happen when we've outgrown the version of ourselves we've been living in. It's like wearing shoes that are too tight. You can't keep walking the same path without discomfort. Eventually, something has to give. And that's when the breakdown happens. It's not a punishment, it's a release. It's your spirit saying, I can't stay in this small space anymore. I'm ready for more, but before you can step into that more, something has to break. Think about it like this: when a caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it doesn't just gently transform into a butterfly. No, it completely dissolves. It breaks down into nothingness before it can re-emerge as something beautiful and free. That's what happens in life too. When you're breaking down, it's because you're in the process of shedding the old, dissolving the parts of yourself that no longer serve you so that you can break through into something new. But here's the key: you have to trust the process. You have to believe that the breakdown is not the end of the story. It's just a chapter in your journey. A necessary chapter that leads to your breakthrough. Because after every storm, there is calm. After every winter, there is spring. And after every breakdown, there is a breakthrough that propels you forward, stronger and wiser than before. The challenge is not to resist the breakdown, but to lean into it. To allow yourself to feel the emotions, the frustration, the confusion, knowing that they are temporary, knowing that they are part of your growth. Every breakdown is an opportunity to rebuild, to rise from the ashes of what once was and create something even more beautiful. And when that breakthrough comes, you'll look back at the breakdown and realize it was a blessing in disguise. You'll see that it was in those moments of pain, of confusion, of struggle that you found your strength. That's when you discover parts of yourself you didn't even know existed. That's when you learn that you are more resilient, more powerful, and more capable than you ever imagined. Breakdowns are not the end, they are the clearing before the new beginning. They are the moments when the universe is rearranging things in your life, making space for the breakthrough that's on its way. So the next time you feel like everything is falling apart, remember this: you are not breaking down, you are breaking through. You are shedding the old, preparing to step into the new. And what's waiting for you on the other side is a version of yourself that's more aligned with your purpose, more connected to your truth, and more powerful than you've ever been before. When life starts to unravel, when everything you thought you could count on begins to fall apart, the natural reaction is to fight it. We want to cling to what's familiar, to hold on to what feels safe, even when the ground is shifting beneath us. But here's the truth: sometimes the breakdown is exactly what you need. Sometimes it's life's way of guiding you towards something greater, something more aligned with who you're meant to be. And in those moments, the hardest but most powerful thing you can do is trust the breakdown. Trusting the breakdown means letting go of control. It means surrendering to the fact that things are falling apart for a reason. It's not easy, I know. It's human to want to fix everything, to put the pieces back together as quickly as possible. But when you do that, you might be rushing the process. You might be trying to hold on to something that is no longer meant for you. Trusting the breakdown means believing that there is purpose in the chaos, even when you can't see it yet. You see, life doesn't always give us what we want, it gives us what we need. And sometimes what we need is for certain things to break down so that new things can break through. That job you thought you needed, that relationship you thought you couldn't live without, that version of yourself you've been holding on to, they may need to fall away so that you can step into something better, something more authentic. But you'll never get there if you don't trust the breakdown. It's about understanding that breakdowns are part of the process. Just like a forest that burns so new growth can emerge, sometimes your life has to be cleared out to make room for something new. It feels uncomfortable. It feels scary. It feels uncertain. But in that discomfort, in that uncertainty, is where the magic happens. It's where you find out who you really are and what you're truly capable of. Trusting the breakdown is about faith in yourself, faith in the process, faith in life. It's knowing deep down that even though things are messy and painful right now, you are being guided to where you need to be. It's trusting that the breakdown is not happening to destroy you, but to awaken you. To shake you out of the patterns that have kept you stuck, to break the chains of fear and doubt that have held you back. In those moments when it feels like everything is crumbling, when you're questioning why this is happening, remind yourself that breakdowns often precede the biggest breakthroughs. The darkest night comes before the dawn. The times when you feel like you've hit rock bottom are often the moments when you're closest to rising higher than you ever have before. But you have to trust it. You have to lean into the breakdown, not run from it. Because when you trust it, you allow it to teach you, to grow you, to prepare you for the next chapter. It's not about giving up, it's about surrendering. Surrendering to the idea that life is unfolding exactly as it's meant to, even when it doesn't make sense in the moment. Trusting the breakdown means accepting that there are things happening behind the scenes that you can't see yet, but one day you'll look back and understand why it had to happen the way it did. So when life feels like it's falling apart, don't panic, don't rush to fix it, don't resist it. Take a deep breath and trust the breakdown. Trust that it's leading you to something greater. Trust that it's clearing the path for a new beginning. Trust that when the dust settles, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with who you are truly meant to be. In the breakdown, you are being reborn. Let it happen. Trust that you will come through this, not just as the person you were, but as the person you've always been destined to become. There comes a time in life when you realize that in order to become who you're meant to be, you have to tear down parts of yourself that no longer serve you. It's a painful process, and it often feels like you're destroying pieces of yourself. But what if that destruction is not an end? What if it's the beginning of something much more powerful, something stronger than you could ever imagine? Self-destruction, when done consciously, is not about loss, it's about clearing the way for growth. It's about building a stronger foundation from the ashes of who you once were. You see, we all build lives based on certain beliefs, habits, and identities. We create these structures to protect ourselves, to navigate the world, and for a time they serve us well. But eventually you outgrow them. Eventually, those structures, those identities you've held on to for so long start to feel limiting. They become walls instead of pathways. And in those moments, you have to make a choice: cling to what's familiar or have the courage to tear it down. It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it? To willingly destroy parts of yourself, to let go of the person you thought you were. But that's where the power lies, because when you strip away those old layers, when you break down the walls you built around yourself, you create space for something new. You create space for a stronger, more authentic version of yourself to emerge. Self-destruction isn't about recklessness or abandoning yourself. It's about shedding what no longer fits. It's about identifying the parts of your life, your beliefs, your fears, your habits that are keeping you stuck, and having the courage to dismantle them. It's hard because we get attached to the identities we've built. We cling to the stories we've told ourselves for years, even when those stories no longer serve us. But clinging to what's safe and familiar will never allow you to grow into who you're truly meant to be. Think of it like an old building. Over time, the foundation weakens, the walls start to crack, and no matter how much you patch it up, it's never quite as strong as it once was. You could keep trying to repair it, but eventually you realize that the best thing to do is tear it down and start over. And in that destruction, you create the opportunity to build something stronger, something more solid, something that will stand the test of time. That's what self-destruction does. It allows you to rebuild your life, your identity, on a foundation that is stronger and more aligned with who you really are. It gives you the chance to strip away the layers of fear, doubt, and limitation that have been holding you back so you can create a life that is rooted in truth and power. It's not an easy process. You will have moments of doubt. You will feel vulnerable and exposed. But that vulnerability is where your strength lies. Because when you allow yourself to break down, when you willingly let go of what no longer serves you, you discover parts of yourself you never knew existed. You tap into a deeper well of resilience, a deeper sense of purpose, a deeper connection to your true self. Self-destruction is a necessary part of growth. You cannot build a new life on top of old, crumbling foundations. You have to be willing to tear down the old structures, to dismantle the stories and identities that have kept you small so you can create space for something greater. And in that space, you can rebuild not as the person you thought you had to be, but as the person you truly are. So when you find yourself in a place where everything feels like it's falling apart, don't be afraid. Don't rush to put the pieces back together. Sometimes the breakdown is exactly what you need to build something stronger. Trust the process. Trust that in the destruction, you are laying the foundation for something more powerful, more resilient, and more aligned with your true self. You are not losing yourself, you are finding yourself. And the version of you that emerges from this process will be stronger, wiser, and more connected to your purpose than ever before. Because self-destruction isn't the end, it's the beginning of your greatest transformation. Transformation is not a neat, linear process. It's messy, it's uncomfortable. It's filled with uncertainty and moments when you wonder if you're even on the right path. But here's the truth: real transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it rarely looks like what we expect. It requires patience, faith, and most importantly, trust in the process, trust in the timing, and trust in yourself. When you're in the middle of transformation, it often feels like you're losing control. The things that once made sense no longer do. The parts of yourself that felt solid start to shift and unravel. It's easy to feel lost in that space, to want to grab hold of something familiar. But transformation asks something different of you. It asks you to let go. It asks you to trust that even though you may not see the full picture yet, you are being guided towards something greater. The truth is, transformation is like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. That caterpillar doesn't just sprout wings one day, it goes into the cocoon, dissolving into something unrecognizable before it can emerge as a new creation. There's a period where it's in between, no longer what it was, but not yet what it will be. That's exactly what happens to us when we're going through a transformation. We're in that in-between space where the old version of ourselves is fading away and the new version has yet to fully take shape. It's in this space where trust is crucial. You have to trust that what you're shedding, the beliefs, the patterns, the parts of yourself that no longer serve you, are making way for something more aligned with your true essence. You may not understand it while it's happening. You may feel like things are falling apart, that you're losing pieces of yourself. But transformation is never about losing, it's about becoming. It's about evolving into the highest, most authentic version of yourself. This process will challenge you. It will push you to confront the things you've been avoiding. It will require you to face your fears, your doubts, and the parts of yourself that you've hidden away. And that can feel overwhelming. But trust that every part of this journey is necessary. Trust that the discomfort is temporary, but the growth is permanent. The hardest part of transformation is the uncertainty. We want answers. We want to know how it's all going to turn out. But transformation doesn't give you a roadmap. It asks you to step into the unknown, to move forward, even when you don't have all the answers. And in that space where things feel uncertain is where the magic happens, because that's where you're forced to rely on something deeper, your intuition, your inner strength, your faith. Transformation isn't just about changing what's on the outside. It's about shifting who you are on the inside. It's about breaking down the walls you've built around yourself, the stories you've told yourself about who you should be, and allowing the truest version of yourself to emerge. That kind of transformation takes time. It's not instant. It's a process of shedding, of releasing, of growing. And just like a butterfly can't rush its emergence from the cocoon, you can't rush your own transformation. You have to trust the timing. You have to trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it's meant to, even if you can't see it yet. Transformation isn't about control, it's about surrender. It's about releasing the need to know all the answers and trusting that the process itself will lead you to where you need to be. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, moments when you question if you're strong enough to keep going. But trust that the transformation process is preparing you for something bigger. Trust that every step, every challenge, every moment of uncertainty is shaping you into the person you're meant to become. The path of transformation isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Because on the other side of that process is a version of you that is more aligned with your purpose, more connected to your truth, and more powerful than you ever imagined. So when you're in the midst of transformation and things feel unclear, when the ground beneath you feels shaky, and you're tempted to go back to what's familiar, remember this: trust the process. Trust that what is being dismantled is making way for something far greater. Trust that the discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong, but that something is shifting. Trust that you are not losing yourself, you are becoming yourself. Transformation is not a destination, it's a journey. And when you trust the journey, you open yourself up to possibilities greater than anything you could have imagined. Change, it's the one constant in life, and yet it's the very thing that so many of us resist. We cling to what we know, to the familiar, to the routines that make us feel safe. But the truth is, when you resist change, you're resisting your own growth, your own evolution. You're holding back from stepping into the fullness of who you are. It's only when you embrace change fully, fearlessly, that you unlock the deepest, most authentic parts of your power. Embracing change is not just about accepting that things will be different. It's about leaning into that difference, understanding that change is an invitation to evolve. It's an opportunity to let go of old patterns, old beliefs, and old versions of yourself that no longer serve you. But more importantly, it's a chance to discover new parts of yourself, parts that have been waiting to be unleashed. When you embrace change, you step into a flow with life. You stop fighting against the current and start moving with it, trusting that wherever it's taking you is exactly where you need to be. That's when real power is unleashed, not the kind of power that comes from controlling everything around you, but the kind that comes from being in alignment with yourself and with the universe. That's your authentic power, the power that comes from within, that doesn't depend on external circumstances or approval. Change forces you to get uncomfortable, to leave behind what's known, what's easy. But here's the thing, your comfort zone is not where your power lives. Your power lives in the unknown. It lives in the spaces where you're willing to take risks, to step into something new, to trust yourself even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. That's where growth happens. That's where you discover the strength you didn't know you had, the courage you didn't know you possessed, and the resilience that has always been inside you, waiting to be activated. Think about the moments in your life when you've been forced to change. Maybe it was the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or a personal crisis that turned your world upside down. In those moments, it felt like everything was falling apart. But now, looking back, you can see that those were the very moments that pushed you to become more. Those were the moments that revealed your true power, the moments that showed you what you're really made of. Because change, even when it's painful, is always an opportunity to transform. When you embrace change, you stop seeing it as something to fear and start seeing it as a gift that allows you to shed the old layers, the masks you've been wearing, the limitations you've placed on yourself. Change is a call to step into your authenticity, to strip away everything that's not truly you, and to stand in your power unapologetically, unshakably. But here's the key to embrace change. You have to let go of control. You have to stop trying to micromanage every aspect of your life and trust that the universe has a plan for you. You have to believe that even when things are shifting, even when you feel like you're being thrown into uncertainty, there is a higher purpose at play. And when you trust that, when you allow change to move through your life without resistance, you open yourself up to new possibilities, new opportunities, and new ways of being. This is where your authentic power comes from, not from forcing things to stay the same, but from having the courage to evolve. Your power comes from your ability to adapt, to grow, and to reinvent yourself as life changes around you. It comes from knowing that you are not defined by your circumstances, but by how you respond to them. And when you embrace change, you respond with grace, with strength, and with a deep knowing that you are capable of navigating anything life throws your way. There's freedom in embracing change, freedom from the need to have everything figured out, freedom from the fear of the unknown, freedom from the limitations of who you used to be. When you embrace change, you give yourself permission to grow into the person you're meant to be. You step into your authentic power, a power that is fluid, adaptable, and unbreakable. Change is not your enemy, it's your ally. It's the force that shapes you, that challenges you, that pushes you to become more than you ever thought possible. So when change comes knocking at your door, don't shrink from it. Don't resist it. Welcome it with open arms, embrace it fully, knowing that it's here to unleash your authentic power, to reveal the truth of who you are, and to lead you toward the life you're meant to live. In embracing change, you embrace yourself. You embrace your potential, your power, and the infinite possibilities that await you. In doing so, you are stepping into the most powerful, authentic version of yourself.